One of the questions we get constantly from clients these days is how can we create TikToks? They all know that TikTok's booming. The app had over 3 billion downloads worldwide, 150 million monthly active users in the US alone, and the average person uses it for an hour and a half a day, which is both sad and amazing at the same time. And then the task falls to us as social media marketers of how do you create this much content? It's harder than the photography content or the text-based content that we've been doing for the last 15 years. So you guys, you're both on our content production team. What are some of the questions you see brands struggling with?
I think there's multiple, and we have a bunch to go over. But one thing that immediately pops out, aside from putting together a strategy, is who's going to be in your video. Do you have
Mhm.
talented people in your office? Do you have access to the personas that need to be on camera or in platform? And we have a lot of workarounds with that we've kind of fine tuned over time. Um, One thing that we love to do is one of the first things you can think about is shifting the focus not to a person necessarily, but maybe you mix up your tactics a little bit. Maybe you're shooting something POV, so your hands might be in it or someone else's hands might be in it. Could be something where you take use of several of TikTok's platform features, or you use voiceover. Green
Yep.
screen is very prominent in there. Um, there's a whole world that you can dig into, and I think that's one thing we like to push for is trying
Yeah.
alternatives.
One of
And
the,
also, oh,
go
sorry,
ahead,
Joe.
Taylor.
We try to experiment with personification of the product where it makes sense. So you don't always have to use people. Maybe your product's really fun. I think a lot about Scrub Daddy and how the sponge is actually their mascot on TikTok. Super fun, super great engagement there. And if you have a mascot, that can also work too. Fun workaround to avoid always having the same faces in your shot. You don't want to get in the habit of like having the same people over and over so they become, accidental spokespeople.
Yeah, and one of the TikToks I'm watching a lot these days is origins of interesting words and phrases. Who's ever producing those is never in the videos. It's photography and voiceover and telling a story, and it works. So yeah, for sure. What other sort of questions are we getting? I think the fear of being in the videos is a serious one, but what else? What other questions are we getting?
I think we're seeing people wondering if they should be on TikTok and worrying that the kids will think that it's dorky or they'll be made fun of. But, they might think it's silly, but they might also not be your target audience because we've been looking at some data from TikTok and we found that 31% of TikTok users are actually 25 to 34. So it's not as young as people tend to think. And we also looked at some data from TikTok and found that humorous and what else? Creative content was more important than trendy content. And then actually, after funny and creative, relaxing was also a top thing that TikTok users are looking for. So you don't have to worry about, knowing all of the lingo, quote unquote, or, trying too hard. I think it's worse if you try too hard to jump into the trends. Don't force it. We see brands doing this everywhere and it's a little cringy. If it doesn't fit your brand or your strategy, you don't have to do it. And when we say be authentic on TikTok, we really mean be authentic to your brand. Like, what can your brand bring to the table? What's your unique voice? What unique things do you have to say? What's your sense of humor? And I think that's where you're going to get the best content because you're not just blindly jumping on a trend or forcing it. It's going to be authentic to you and it's going to differentiate your brand from others.
We get asked all the time about trends and how are you going to keep up with trends and how do you know how are you going to make our brand jump on a trend, and I think that's just such a false question. It's like a if you're trying to jump on trends all the time, you're probably going the wrong way for 95% of brands. It's not the way for branded TikTok content to go for about 100 reasons.
Yeah, and it's also, having to rely on trends means you're waiting for the perfect opportunity to jump into a conversation when the perfect opportunity is already there with the story that you're telling for your brand, with the audiences that you're trying to connect with. A trend itself that might work well with your brand and really take off is like a perfect game in baseball. It's super rare when it happens. It's fun to watch, but otherwise you're just striking out in the meantime.
Right. And even if you get watches, like if on our own YouTube channel at Ignite, our most popular video has nothing to do with social media marketing, and it had a huge number of views, but it really didn't do anything for our brand. So I'd rather have 100 high quality views than 10,000 views from somebody who's never going to buy from me.
I think I know what video that might be.
I think
Do you
you
want to talk
do.
about that?
So, what are some of the options for brands to create content? What paths can they go down?
I think one thing that we've really been seeing positive results from is the concept of UGC on TikTok
Mhm.
and repurposing that to tell the brand's story. I mean, the community on TikTok is insane. There's something for everyone. And, you might have multiple communities that resonate with your brand. So it's about going out and finding how they're talking about you, getting that permission to potentially reuse it, and then empowering them to be the voice for your brand in some cases. So, if that's part of your rotation, it shouldn't necessarily be your entire strategy, but if it's a part of your rotation, it diversifies your content. It gives your followers the chance to speak for the brand. Gives you a chance to edit things in new ways, maybe create original sounds. Maybe you can create an original sound in a voiceover that others can also repurpose on their own TikTok. And there are a lot of possibilities that UGC can bring to the table for you.
Yeah, including duets.
Oh, we love duets and stitches and even just a compilation of UGC videos. Super fun. People love seeing real users talking about your brand. It reads as more authentic, and people love seeing themselves on branded channels. It's a little shout out for them, and it increases their bond with the brand as well. So it's a win-win there.
So UGC is one. What else can they do?
I think behind the scenes
Oh,
is a
yeah.
nice
Mhm.
opportunity, and there's several ways you can access that. I personally think that I know we mentioned talent on video, and you may have a social media team who's comfortable being on camera. You may not. It may be part of the narrative. It may not. But I think of all the platforms right now, TikTok is the best opportunity to break that fourth wall and acknowledge the fact that you're a creator for a brand and have a little fun with it. And you can also showcase the behind the scenes of maybe how products are made or how outfits are put together. Maybe, there's all kinds of things that you can show that maybe we don't have access to on other platforms.
What else, Taylor?
Oh, well, we've seen a lot of how-to content popping. People love going to TikTok to learn about new products. They love learning how to do things, and they love just content that's edutainment content. So content that's fun, and they also get a benefit from it. So if you have a cooking brand or a brand that does a lot of recipe content, recipe how-tos, that is amazing. People love going to TikTok. There's tons of viral recipes and just little hacks that people might want to know about to get better in the kitchen. People love seeing demos of products. If you can show people how your product works in a fun way, that's always really popular. And just like product highlights, maybe showing off the texture. Maybe it's a lip gloss and you do some swatches in your arm. It's super sparkly. Or, create some fun sounds or just shoot it in a really appealing, fun way. People really like these how-tos, demos, things like that.
Yeah, and if you're not a creator yourself or you don't have one on your team, hire creators. I mean, we have packages now, and I'm going to differentiate between creators and influencers here. And the difference I'm making for this conversation, at least, is a creator that I'm referring to doesn't post this content to their social channels where an influencer does. They're literally just making the piece of content for you like an agency would or like your internal team would. And we've built a network of over 3,000 creators who can produce that content in under 2 weeks. And the quality is so good, and then you can stitch it together with other creator content. There's so many uses for it that really hiring creators takes so much of the sweat out of being told you have to make a TikTok.
I love that. And one thing that we found, some brands can struggle, like, what can I do for my TikTok? I'm having trouble brainstorming ideas. And we really like to look into the communities because a lot of people think of TikTok as just like an entertainment platform or it's just a bunch of kids dancing, but it's become like a true social hub. There are so many communities for everything. There's garden talk, book talk, car talk, movie talk. If there's an interest, there's probably a corner of TikTok for it. And if you tap into these conversations, look at what these people are talking about. If there's a way to naturally integrate your brand, that can be really powerful and feel more natural than just trying to kind of brainstorm things off the cuff and give you some really good, concrete, usable ideas.
And whoever built TikTok's algorithm is brilliant. I mean, the content you get is it's really content you enjoy. It's remarkable.
It's amazing. It always knows. The algorithm knows. Sometimes it knows me better than I think it does. And things are a little too spot on and it freaks me out, but it also is really fun.
Drew, what other tips do you have for brands before we're going to switch into bad advice?
Besides considering repurposing content from other platforms, you could also consider starting brand challenges. This is an opportunity to have some fun with your followers, to have some fun with the people that are there to play with your brand on TikTok. This could be something like an original sound that others use. It could be encouraging them to duet with you and whatever you're putting out there. It could be something that you make a bigger deal out of. It could become some sort of contest or some sort of way to just talk about the brand. But branded challenges are another awesome way to utilize those communities and get them stirred up for you.
Right. And
Yep.
another thing that I would recommend for brands is to just have fun. I mean, TikTok gives you so much freedom and you can get away with almost anything on the platform. I'm thinking about Duolingo and how they are just crazy and fun and people love them. And now everyone wants to, have that vibe. They really pioneered it. But, it doesn't have to be the most high budget, beautiful commercial thing, but just have fun with it, be creative, make it look good, find something that works for your brand. It's like cool transitions, maybe it's fun colors, maybe it's your editing style, maybe it's your voiceovers, but the sky's the limit. So you have so much creative freedom and really lean into that.
We haven't even mentioned ASMR. I mean, I would have bet
Oh
a
my gosh.
lot against ASMR trending, but that content for certain people at least seems to be relaxing and it works for them, and it seems to drive affinity for the product. So there's just so many approaches. You're absolutely right. So I want to switch now to bad advice you've seen people give brands on TikTok. I'll start with the first one because I already said it. Find the trends and hop on them. I think that's Drew said it well. It's amazing if you pull it off, but Oreo dunk in the dark. Obviously, that wasn't on TikTok, but that was their 100th real time post and the first one that really got them. Oh my gosh, legendary status. And you could end up with that sort of ratio if you're just chasing trends all the time instead of focusing on what you bring to the table. What other bad advice have you seen for brands on TikTok?
So one that naturally feels okay to gravitate towards, and you kind of have to look around to see if it's right or not. And the truth is that it's not, is using trending audio and commercial music in TikToks for your brand. If you don't have permission from the artist, if you're just pulling it off of the platform because it's doing really well and people will see it, it's a dangerous road to travel, because the truth is, for brands, technically you're not supposed to do that. It's something that a lot of brands are still doing and they're not being called out for it or caught yet. There's still a lot of gray area with how music labels and artists and creatives are going to respond to or enforce this. But the gist of it is, I like to use this analogy that it's kind of like speeding on the highway. There's a speed limit out there for a reason. It's the law. You're not supposed to go above it. 9 out of 10 cars are driving faster than the speed limit. And eventually, one of those 9 cars is going to get caught. They're going to get a ticket. They're going to pay a fine. It's the same thing with commercial music on TikTok right now. It's a risk. It's just like speeding. Most of the time, for now, until they put together a different system in the future, it's probably not going to have a consequence, but that consequence could come any day. So it's
Yep.
not worth it. There are alternatives. Royalty-free music is great. You can generate music with AI now that sounds trendy in its own way. Again, it could be that you take the lead, combine royalty-free music with some sort of voiceover and create an original sound that people want to use, and that becomes a trending audio. So you have the power to change things and still be effective without using it. It is very tempting, but our advice is to not do that.
Now, I will give a caveat though. If it's in the commercial audio library on
Mhm.
TikTok, you can use that, and there is some popular music in there. However, you can't take that TikTok then and move it onto Instagram because the
Don't do
license
it.
for that music is stuck on TikTok. So just be careful there. What other advice have you seen, Taylor?
Maybe not advice, but I think people tend to think, oh, well, I don't need an actual TikTok strategy. I'll just repurpose my reels right on TikTok and it's going to be great. And we really recommend against doing that because we like to create platform specific content. And something that works for reels might be okay on TikTok, but you really want to be creating content platform first. So TikTok first, think about what's going to be engaging there, what people are talking about, listen to your community, what are they engaging with, and make something original.
Any closing thoughts, Drew?
TikTok, TikTok. It's ticking. That's a dumb closing thought. That's all I got. I love TikTok now. I never thought I'd be that guy, but it's one of the platforms that I really look forward to creating for here within the agency, because it is an opportunity for us to strategically push the brands that we work with forward and to try some new things. We're all about testing and learning, and TikTok is a really fun and strategic platform for that.
Yeah, and it's the most creative one too. And we've shared some ideas about repurposing UGC, showing behind the scenes, engaging your own employees, showing how-tos, hiring creators, repurposing influencer content, engaging with your communities. I mean, there's so many ways to do this. So I hope that's helpful for you. If you need help jumping onto TikTok, we can certainly help you with that as well.